Hey guys, it's Vornskyr here, and today we're back in Elite Dangerous, and we're continuing on the exploration pilgrimage to Sagittarius A, and we start off by heading towards the Fine Ring Nebula. Now this is a nebula that I just discovered kind of by chance. I didn't really discover it, I just came across it in the galaxy map and thought I would head there. It's about 500 light years away from the Coalsack Nebula, and so it looks pretty cool. It's a really tiny little one. The system is Shapley 1, and so we start off heading towards there. And one thing that I noticed along the way, as I did the system scan on this system, or when I looked in the system map I should say, is that there is a planet in here that looks a little bit different from all the others. It's kind of a blue globe sort of thing, whereas, you know, most of the other planets are kind of white or grey or brown or whatever. This one looked kind of interesting, so I decided to head towards it, and it turned out that it was a water world. I don't know if these are particularly rare or not, if they're unusual or anything like that. It's the first one that I've come across, I think, in my exploration journey. I did see that water giant previously, but this is the first water world, so it seemed like a good opportunity for some photos, or not photos, but screenshots and all the rest of it. Just a nice big blue planet. And so yeah, that was pretty cool. It was I think it was one of the first times that I'd seen something kind of interesting. I mean, like I said, I don't know how common these are. I don't remember seeing them in like civilized space all that often, but then one thing that I tend to do when I'm flying around civilized systems is I just don't look at the planets at all. I completely ignore them. I just head from space station to space station. So one thing I'm really noticing as I'm going along here is that I'm looking at all these planets a lot closer. And anyway, so here we are finally at Shapley 1. This is the Fine Ring Nebula, and this is a type of star that I hadn't seen before. This is I think it's a Wolf-Rayet star. I don't know how you pronounce that, I'm probably saying it wrong. But yeah, it's something that I've never seen before, and it's pretty cool. You can see this massive big star, and it's actually, you can't really see it just yet, but it's actually kind of forming this bluish cloud around it, which I guess is where the nebula comes from. And so you can kind of see it. Again, it's not crazy visible as a nebula, but you can kind of see the blue cloud and everything. It's more visible than the Coalsack Nebula was anyway. So that was a nice little detour. It's a good way to start the trip, I think. Obviously I wasn't the first person here to discover this nebula, but I did kind of stumble across it completely by chance in the galaxy map, so I'm glad that I decided to head out there and have a look. And as you can see, I'm flying around a little bit now, and you can kind of see the, I'm going to call them clouds. It may not be scientifically accurate, but I'm going to call them clouds anyway. And you can see they've got kind of a bit of a blue colour to them. So that was pretty cool to see. And then I think after this, I basically had to figure out where I was going to go next. And the problem with doing that is that you've got a 1,000 light year maximum range when you're plotting courses, but the galaxy map does not make it particularly easy. So basically what I was doing was I was just scrolling the map in the direction that I wanted to go, and then trying to find a star 1,000 light years away, basically. I did kind of manage to succeed. One thing that I wanted to do as well was to move myself up on the like galactic plane sort of thing, so that, because the thing is, when everybody's heading towards Sagittarius A, they tend to set their course from civilized space and stay on that, or at least a lot of people do. And what you do by increasing your height or decreasing it, and I know that's not really accurate or anything, but that's just what I'm going to call it, by kind of being above or below the level that civilized space is on, you basically open up a whole lot of space that other people haven't been to. So that's kind of what I tried to do here, and you can see how long my my jump route is. I'm just doing this at maximum like maximum range jumps, and you can see I think that 1,000 light years was about 35 jumps or something. I can't quite remember. But the good thing about doing it like that is that I did eventually start seeing you know, completely undiscovered systems, like places that nobody's ever been to yet. Or at least they look like nobody's been there yet. It could find out that by the time I'm actually back and handing in this discovery like data, somebody else has already been there and scanned it and returned, because you only get the first, like you only get your name next to it once you hand in that data to Universal Cartographics or whatever it's called. And one thing you might notice again, we got some interesting planets in this system, and it turns out I actually found an Earth-like in this system. And again, I'm not the first person to discover this one, but from my understanding, Earth-likes are incredibly rare. They're very difficult to find. I believe they're also worth a fair bit in terms of credits for the discovery and all that sort of thing. So yeah, being able to find one was really cool, and it does just look nice and everything as well. Obviously the planetary textures and everything have always been pretty good in this game. As you can see, I'm just kind of flying up nice and close to this one and taking a bit of a look at it. And see, that's definitely the first Earth-like that I've found, exploring around and looking for things. Hopefully it won't be the last, but like I said, they are pretty rare. So it's a nice thing to be able to find one. And then after this, well, once I took a few screenshots and everything and just decided to have a look. I really like this debug camera mode, and it's a bit fiddly sometimes, but being able to go in third person just to have a look at all the stuff is really cool. I mean, it's kind of the thing is, my phone, somebody loves me. It's one of those things that's really prevented me from buying skins, is that you basically don't see the outside of ships or anything like that. And I mean, even though the debug camera exists, I don't really use it often enough to check out the outside of all the ships and all that sort of thing. But anyway, that's not really relevant to any of this. So in this system, there was a couple of large gas giants, which I decided to check out. And it looks like, didn't quite see there, but I think this only had one of the stars explored. I'm not quite sure, by somebody else. But anyway, one of these gas giants turned out to be an ammonia gas giant, or a gas giant with ammonia-based life. And again, I don't think that's something I've really seen before. I know that they do, like, technically there is alien life in the Elite universe. I'm not talking about the Thargoids or anything like that. I just mean like little bacteria things, basically. And I guess that's what one of these gas giants is. And yeah, just have a bit of a look on that. It's got weird colours and everything. The other gas giant in the system was nothing special. I think it was just a class 1 gas giant or something like that. So nothing particularly interesting. So I think this next system, there was nothing really special about it, but it was the first system that I'd found that had just a large number of like planets and everything, and none of them had been discovered. Like, it was a completely untouched system, basically. Like I said, nothing particularly interesting. I actually went through and scanned every single thing, including the asteroid belts, if you can believe that. None of it was particularly valuable. I think all the planets were like rocky ice planets, which I believe are worthless. Obviously the asteroid belts are worthless. The gas giants themselves, I think they're just class 1 and class 2s. I don't really know if they're anything special or not. I don't think they are. But yeah, it took me about at least half an hour to scan everything in this system. And it really reinforced to me that I don't want to do that. If I did that to every single system that I went through, I would be just completely insane. I'd already be heading back to civilized space if that's how I was approaching this. So I think my approach of just jumping in, honking it, and then only going to see if there's anything interesting is probably better. Because yeah, spending half an hour scanning every single planet, it's just, for me, it's completely tedious, like monotony. And I'm sure that some people enjoy it, or I know some people just do that and they've got their TV show on their second monitor or something like that, and that's fine, if whatever works for you. But for me, that's not how I enjoy playing it. So I think I'm just going to continue on jumping into a system, honking, and then, moving on to the next big thing. And so in this system, I think this is the last system really where I found anything interesting, but I actually managed to find 3 different water worlds, as well as a number of high metal content planets. Now, I don't know how particularly rare water worlds are or anything like that. I think finding 3 in one system might be a little bit unusual. Again, I'm not really sure. And I think I scanned everything in this system as well. Yeah, I did. So I guess I'll have my name up next to a bunch of different things while I hand in these. But yeah, so 3 water worlds and a couple of high content metal worlds, whatever it's called. It's pretty cool. But after that, there was really nothing interesting. I think I flew on for about an hour after this and didn't really find anything. I've managed to travel nearly 2,000 light years away from civilized space now. Obviously, there's a long way to go to Sagittarius A. But yeah, we're making fairly decent progress, I think. My ship is going really well, the old Diamondback Explorer. I haven't had any problems with that. I've been scooping fuel, no problems. It doesn't overheat or anything really. I think the highest I've really got it up to, except for that one time where I was derping around with the black holes, the highest heat that I've got it up to has been about 60-70% when scooping, and that's nothing to worry about. So yeah, the old exploration pilgrimage, it's doing fairly well at the moment. Obviously with CQC beta being out now, I'll probably be spending a bit of time playing that, so that may, limit my exploration time. I mean, the thing is, the exploration just takes so long to actually do. I mean, this footage that you're seeing now, I've cut it down to about 10 minutes, but this was 2.5 hours of flying around and looking at different things, so it does take a long time, basically. But yeah, so that's about it for this one. Let me know if this format is kind of working for you. I know that the post commentary is sometimes a bit different to doing it live, but given how long it took to do all this, I think it's just the way it's going to have to be. I don't really want to be sitting there trying to talk to myself for 2.5 hours while I'm just flying through space. But anyway, but so far it seems to be going pretty well. So I think I will end this one here though. So until next time, I've been Vornskyr, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.